And good morning to the Intact Canada Cup finale for 2016. We are about to start the men's 500 meter pair 1 of 50 in just one moment. And on the inner lane, we have Cody Miller from Alberta and Bertrand from Quebec on the outer. All right, off to a clean start. Let's see what times can be laid down today for the 500 meter. This is the second 500 meter of the competition. Going into the last corner. All right. And Cody looks really happy with that race. He had 37.34 and Bertrand 38.68. Wow, and that is half a second PB for Cody. Congratulations, Cody. Look at that smile. That is awesome. So we like to see a finale. And on the inner lane from Nova Scotia, the east coast of Canada, we have Emin Cooper. And on the outer lane, we have Laurent Marcotte. And really aggressive going into this last turn. You have to set up that corner really well on your last corner in your 500 meter. Great tempo from these boys, a nice shoot on the line. And Marcotte takes this in a 37.81. And Cooper, Emin, 38.13. A big high five from his coach. That's excellent. And on the inner lane from Manitoba, we have Simon Coutts. And from Mongolia, on the outer lane, we have Munklad. He did scratch on the outer lane from Mongolia. So in the 500 meters, definite benefit to have a pair, especially on that opener, to stay aggressive. But when your pair scratches, you really have to make sure you're egging yourself on and really continue yourself to stay focused and push yourself throughout the entire race. So he's doing a great job of doing that in the outer, switching to the outer lane. It's great to see so many provincial skaters coming out to race this last competition of the year. At this point, they may not have as much ice available for them in their home province because of outdoor temperatures, but they still come here perhaps a week early to get on ice and race and try and get some nice times for the last competition of the season. And on the inner lane, we have Frank Roth from Alberta and Hannigan from Alberta on the outer lane. And Frank Roth has a sister also in the Olympic Oval program, Julia Roth, who is training with Crispin and Arno. Very strong backstretch, switching lanes here. Good job, boys. And Frank Roth takes us in 38.26, and Hannigan 38.34. And now we have Alec Jansen joining us today. Hello, Alec.
Good morning, Lauren, and good morning to everybody watching over the live stream over YouTube today. I'm pleased to join you guys in announcing this year's 2016 Olympic
2016.
Oval finale. Up next, we have a Norwegian skater, Magnus Nordfron, and Jake Skates Weidman up here on the outer. Both of them coming off of a good season. Jake hot off a couple PBs this weekend. Let's see if he can get another one in the 500.
Off to a great start. Go, Jakey. Jake is Isabel Weideman's younger brother, and they are both from my hometown of Ottawa.
And we're going to open with a 10-6 for Magnus and a 10-7 for Jake Weidman.
And Magnus's older brother is part of the Olympic Oval program for his second year now.
Jake absolutely hammering this lap, making up that 1/10 of a second difference on that opener, and he's going to come across the line with a time of 38.12 for Jake and a 38.55 for Magnus.
Let's see if those are some PBs. Are they close? Right here.
That's going to be a PB for Jake.
All right.
Once again, he does it.
Congratulations,
Another personal
Jake.
best.
And on the inner lane from Saskatchewan, we have Alexander Horst. And from Alberta, we have Latai.
Jacques-Christophe Latai. Now you'll see Alexander Horst using the down start, inspired from track and field. Really helps to get that momentum over the skates and over the hips forward and get that lean through that first opener, which is absolutely crucial if you want a good start. But it's going to be JC Latai opening with the 10-7, followed by the down start Alexander Horst with the 10-9. You'll see JC really coming down that backstretch. So when you come over from the outside, going to the inner in the 500, it's always good to have that guy
A little bit of a slip, put his arm down there.
Guy to catch down that backstretch.
And Latai, 38.08. Alexander Horst, 40.07.
Both of them a little off their PBs this morning. I know that for the first 500 of the weekend, we had some pretty high air pressure, which means for thicker air, meaning that it's going to be harder to get through, skate through the air, a little bit more air resistance. Today, I'm not sure exactly what the air conditions are, but I know that the ice is looking very good today. So if the air cooperates with us, we can be looking at some pretty fast times and some more PBs for all these skaters today. Looks like we're going to have a little delay, most likely for short ice repair.
Looking for the air pressure in Calgary, Alberta. When it reaches under 100 kilopascals, we're looking pretty stellar. Right now we're sitting at 102 kilopascals, and it is decreasing. And I just gained some information that, to be specific, in the oval right now, it's 6.2882. No? 668.58 millimeters of mercury. If you want a conversion from kilopascals. And pretty cool that they keep that information in the oval. They also follow the ice temperatures and different variables like that. but we're not telling you that. Olympic Oval secrets. Hashtag finally finale. And we are starting back up again after a little bit of a pause. I think we had a bit of an ice repair, but it looks like the referees have blown the whistle and we are ready to go.
In our first pair, back from the ice repair, we have Robert Winter from Alberta with another international skater, Jelle Schutt from the Netherlands.
Let's try the Jelle Schutt. Let's try and say. I love trying to say Dutch names. They get me every time. What do you think, Alec?
I think that sounded a little Norwegian. And they're off with a very good start. 10.59 for Winter, 10.85 for Schutt.
Let's see them really power through this backstretch.
The Dutch skaters really known for their long distance skaters. They've been breeding some really good long distance skaters out in the past.
Absolutely.
But not to get confused with the most recent Olympic results where they have swept every single almost every podium on the men's side, except for Denny Morrison, who broke that in the 1,000 and 1,500 meters.
For Robert Winter, we have a 38.03, and for Jelle Schutt, we have 39.29.
Up next on the inner lane, we have Bruno Olivier Brabant from La Belle Province de Québec, paired with Sam Pollock. Bruno actually had a bit of a skate mishap in his 1,000 meters earlier this weekend. Our bolt came loose. He's going to be looking for vengeance on this 500 meters.
We saw a little bit of movement, but it was still okay for the start.
Bruno actually coming over from short track, training at the Centre Gaëtan Boucher out in Quebec City, and he opens in a time of 10.7 for Brabant and a 10.9 for Sam Pollock. You can always tell when a short tracker moves over because they got a really high frequency. Both the short trackers and the inliners actually have very high turnover and very high frequencies in both the corners and the straightaways. And they will cross in a time of 38.71 for Sam Pollock and 38.73 for Brabant.
And on the inner lane from Norway, we have Terje Almes and Steve Smykel from the USA. Looks like the Norwegian is from the same club as Espen and, oh, a little bit of a false start. Same club from Espen and Magna, who are also here training with the Calgary Olympic Oval program under Todd McClemens.
Do they have an indoor oval there?
I believe they train outdoors. It's pretty hard for the Norwegians because it's good that they have so many ovals, but the challenges with outdoor ovals is sometimes the weather gets in the way of your training and you can really miss out on a lot of ice time. But they do have Hamar and the other oval at Stavanger, and I believe they have another indoor oval. So that's actually pretty great, considering in Canada we just have the one indoor oval in Calgary.
Actually, we also have another indoor oval in Fort St. John. It is just
That is right.
Can't forget all of those Fort St. John people that are watching over the live webcast today. I haven't personally skated there, but I've heard some good things about the beautiful arena up there. And I look forward to maybe one day skating in an international competition there in the near future.
We did have a summer training camp there a couple years ago, and it's an absolutely beautiful oval.
And it looks like it'll be the American skater Steve Smykel opening in the 10.6, followed by the Norwegian Almas with the 10.8 opener.
See them power through this last stretch.
And it looks like it'll be Smykel taking it in a time of 38.58, and Almas with the 38.69.
Great skate, boys. And the next pair we have from Alberta, Max. And from the outer lane, we have another oval program skater, Graham Fish from Saskatchewan.
Graham Fish just coming off a hot 5K yesterday, skating a 6:33 as a junior. Quite impressive. And Max Hellick from Alberta is on the inner. Graham Fish actually finishing second out of all the Canadians at this year's Olympic oval finale. Graham Fish specializing in the longer distances, obviously, with the 6:33 in the 5K. He tends to brag about that a little bit more than his 500-meter skills. Let's see if he can change that around today. But it looks to be Max Halleck opening faster and getting the better of it today. Coming out of that last corner will be Max, followed by Graham Fish. And then come down the line. Max Halleck will finish in a time of 38.53 with Graham Fish in a 39.1.
And that is definitely an excellent 5K time from yesterday. Looking at the results, the winning time was 6:24, and he placed 6th overall yesterday in the 5K.
Graham Fish with the 0.8 second PB compared to a seed time going into this Olympic oval finale. So he should be quite happy with both his 5K and his 500 today.
And on the inner lane, we have Jordan Bertignoli, and on the outer lane, we have Caleb Mueller. An awesome, nice sports suit on the inner lane. Looking good, Jordan.
Jordan Bertignoli actually having a bit of a tumultuous season this year when he was sidetracked with liver infection?
Liver infection. It was a very, very rare liver virus that had him hospitalized for a month. So it's so great to see him finally back racing. It was a huge recovery for him this season. Very difficult.
Coming out of the last corner, it looks like Jordan Bertignoli is finding his rhythm after many months off the ice. And he will come across the line in a time of 38.39, which is actually not that far off of his PB of a 38.0.
Just off by 0.3.
Which is really good considering how
huge
long
high
he's
five
had
from
off
Todd.
of the ice.
Big high five from Todd after that race. So proud to see that from Jordan. And on the inner lane here, we have Ryan Dodig from Alberta. And from Norway, we have Olav Nylund.
Coming out of the last corner of this 500 meter, it looks like to be Ryan Dodig. Oh, Ryan Dodig takes a slip.
Oh, no. And he's down on the last straightaway. He's going to finish this up. Oh, that is heartbreaking when you're that close to the finishing line. Taking a step. Oh, whoa, we got a Superman.
Little
We got
Sally
someone
going on. He must have had a
Big
PB on that
Sally,
one.
Superman. I think he planned that out a little bit. All right.
I'm pretty
He's
sure the
pumped.
Norwegian word for Superman is Superman. and
Superman.
and they must be pretty pumped on that result today. And they're just going to check over the ice to make sure that there's nothing in the way that would make any skaters slip or fall.
I'm still laughing. That was excellent. That's why we love all you internationals that come and race here for Intact Finale. And on the inner lane, we have
Jonah Hubertus from Ontario and Adam Scrava
Ava,
on the outer. Sorry there, Adam.
both from my home province. So great to see a lot of Ontario skaters racing here this weekend.
And it'll be Jonathan Iberluz with an opener of 10-8, followed by Scrava with an 11-0.
Let's go, boys. Let's see their corner entries going into this last corner. Awesome. So important to really nail that in your second corner and your 500 meter. Really helps you carry a lot of speed. But ultimately, corner entries are so key, even in the long distances. What do you think, Alec?
Oh. And it'll be Iberluz with a time of 39.0 crossing the line. Next up, we have on the inner Samuel Carpentier from Quebec and Mark Canvin from Manitoba. Mark Canvin coming off of a great PB the other day. Let's see if he can keep it up in this 500. Samuel Carpentier coming from what I assume to be Quebec City, being one of the major hubs in the province of Quebec for long track skating. It's where most of the long track skaters will train out of. And he will get some words from the coach from Quebec City, Grigor Jelinek, down the backstretch as he passes by on the outer lane. And he will have the upper hand coming out of that last corner, coming down the straightaway. And he will cross the line with the time of 39.14 for Carpentier and 39.50 for Mark Canvin.
Another skater from Ontario on the inner lane. We have Matthew Lexton, and on the outer lane, Mark Golden from Alberta.
Looks like Mark Golden is actually from the Calgary Speed Skating Club, wearing the Calgary Speed Skating Club suit. Just as we have that many a lot of international skaters at this competition, it's always really good to see the hometown boys skating as fast as they possibly can. And it'll be Laxton coming up across the line in a time of 39.44 and a 40.30 for Mark Golden.
And that is a 1.6 PB for Laxton. Congratulations. And on the inner lane here, we have Garrett Gledhill from Manitoba and another skater from Manitoba, Hunter Hewlett, on the outer. Oh, and a little bit of a slip on the outer, but he rebounded really quickly off of that. Coming around this last corner. And crushing their PBs. I think that was like a 3-second PB or 2-second PB for Hunter Hewlett. Congratulations.
And Caleb Hovey from Ontario will be our only skater here today since Michael Hubbs has scratched this morning. Hovey had being a little bit of a mix-up there going to the outer lane. Wearing the white armband. White's always on the inside just like an apple. White on the inside, red on the outside. Caleb Hovey gets off to a great start. Looking for a good opener. And as he crosses the line in a time of 11.1 seconds, he'll be carrying out the rest of this 500-meter solo. He's going to be cranking out this whole race as fast as he can by himself, which in a way is kind of nice not to have any distractions, but you also don't have anybody to chase. So it both has its pros and its cons. Caleb Hovey crosses the line in a time of 39.44.
Great job, boys. And on the inner lane from Ontario. So nice to see all these skaters. Oliver Scharf, and on the outer lane, Jack Dybert. Off to a great start for these boys. And for Oliver, it's a 10.98, and for Jack, it's a 11.29.
And this looks like a really good race for Scharf, finishing at a time of 39.91.
And for Jack, a 40.63.
And that is going to be PBs for both those skaters, coming in with the original times of 41.99 for Scharf and 42.22 for Dybert.
And he looks pretty happy with that. High five from his pair. And on the inner lane here, another skater from Ontario. We have Cameron Mason, and on the outer lane, Gabrielle Kron from Alberta.
Cameron wearing the same suit as his Ontario teammate in the pair before, most likely from the same club. Cameron Mason off with the great start.
Oh, and
but
a little
then
bit of a
had
slip.
Will cross the
Whoa.
the opening time for Cameron Mason will be 11.2, and Gabrielle with an 11.1. Cameron having another slip on that first corner. Let's see if he can recover and still finish on a good high note. Cameron just looking a little unstable on his skates.
All right, and Gabrielle finishes in, or no, it's a Mason with a 40.07 and Gabrielle in a 42.82.
Yeah, those two names mixed up in that last pair. My apologies to both those skaters. But in this pair, we have two Swiss skaters, Steinberg and Nagli.
Steinbergen and Mattia. It's great to see so many more skaters from Switzerland. I think last year there was only one skater on the World Cup circuit from Switzerland, Martin. It's an older skater coming from inline, and it's really nice to see them developing their entire program with all these younger skaters racing here at the Intact finale. And it's 11.08 for Nagale and 11.27 for Steinbergen.
And it'll be Steinbergen with the time of 40.26, flirting with that 40 barrier.
And Nagli 40.13. And next up, we have another skater from Ontario. On the inner lane, we have from Alberta, Hartleb, and from the outer lane, from Ontario, Max Brandt. A little bit of movement on that outer lane. It's a big transition coming. A lot of these skaters from Ontario will be coming from short track. And there's a lot of differences between the starts in short track to long track. There's absolutely no movement allowed on the 3-second hold in the long track start.
The biggest difference between a short track start and a long track start is the timing. That's the hardest thing to get used to, since in short track, they call ready, and then they blow the gun almost immediately after they call ready. In long track, they take a little bit longer. They let you settle into your position. And they make you sit there for just a little bit, and then the gun goes. So to be doing one and then the other can be a little bit confusing. But it'll be Max Brandt with an opener of 11.0, followed by Tyler Hartleb with an opener of 11.2. His coach, Justin Warslewicz, Olympic medalist from the 2006 Torino Olympic Games, giving us some pointers down that backstretch. It'll be Hartleb with a time of 40.05. Oh, so close to breaking that 40. And Max Brandt with the time of 40.48.
And the next pair here, we have both skaters from Alberta. We have Vaughn Thibault on the inner lane and Joshua Hathaway on the outer. As you can see, we have skater outside the pad, so it's really important to stop before the starter so that they don't distract the skaters that are at the start line, because if people are running or walking by, it can cause the skaters to have a false start.
Vaughn looking really good in the opener. He's come a long way in the last 4 or 5 years. A master skater here at the Olympic Oval. And fun fact, Lauren, the first year that I moved out here, I started up a little skate sharpening business. I would sharpen anyone's skates for $5 or $10. Vaughn was actually one of my best customers.
No way.
Yeah, so it's always good to see him around the oval, say hi to him, see how things are going.
That is such a great idea.
He always keeps tabs on me too, so it's kind of cool to see to see him skating out here at this year's Olympic Gold finale.
Yeah, he's looking really great coming down this this last stretch here.
And it'll be Vaughn taking it in a time of 40.55 and Hathaway in a time of 41.25.
Great race, Vaughn. And for the next pair, we have on the inner lane Rob Cunning from Alberta and Kees Kooijman from Alberta on the outer lane. Definite Dutch name right there. And an opener for Kees Kooijman, 10.72, and for Rob Cunning, 11.12. A great shoot of the line. So for Kooijman, it's 40.62, and for Cunning, it's 40.51.
And in our next pair, we have a solo skater, Thomas Van Dyke from Alberta, is scratching this race, leaving Eric Olowski from British Columbia, specifically from Prince George. He's got the short track suit on and some gloves. Prince George being a northern town in British Columbia, and they also have a club that specializes in both long track and short track. They have an outdoor 400-meter track there.
And they hosted the Canada Winter Games last year.
They did.
Fun fact, Prince George was my very first nationals ever for short track. I was 12 years old, and I was the first female that Ontario ever sent to nationals for the midget category.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a great trip.
And it looks like he's got quite the tempo going on the backstretch. Would really not surprise me if he gets a PB on this one. He is absolutely flying out there, keeping the high turnover. I'd like to see him continue this on for the rest of the weekend. Just nailing some good long track technique and hopefully getting some good times. And he'll come across the line in a time of 41.25. And this will be our last pair before the flood break. And it features Tom Kaiser from British Columbia and Ian Dyer from Alberta. And it looks to be our outer skater, Ian Dyer, opening with 11.2, taking in the opener, followed by Tom Kaiser on the inner with an 11.6. And crossing line in a time of 42.01 for Kaiser. And on the outer will be Ian Dyer with a time of 42.14. Thumbs up from Dyer. And that'll wrap things up for now. And we'll be coming back just shortly after this ice break. Restart will be in 21 minutes at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. we will be joining you back with some of the top... Oh, sorry.
I think it's been changed to 10. The second round of men's 500 meter was going to begin at 9:55, but I think that's been pushed back 5 minutes. And welcome back to Calgary Intact Finale. We are just about to start the men's 500 meter with our first pair being on the inner, Richard McLennan from Ontario, and on the outer, Mikhail Choi.
Yeah, welcome back. Now that was welcome back, everybody. And that was a really good warm-up this morning as far as 500 meters go, but this is when it really starts getting heated. We have some of the top skaters here. And in today's opening pair after the flood break, we have Richard McLennan
Off
from
to
Ontario.
a good start, both down starts. Richard was at World Single Distance Championships this year in Kolomna, Russia for the 1,000 meter. Excellent opener. We got Richard at a 9.81, and we have Mikhail Choi at a 9.96.
Richard absolutely chugging down this 500 like the big locomotive that he is. He's just got a bunch of raw power out there. Choi with a little bit faster of a turnover. Coming down this last straightaway, it looks like Richard's going to take it, but Choi is absolutely trying his best to catch him.
Great times.
Going to be 35.35 for McLennan, 35.59 for Choi.
Very close to his PB for Choi. That was 0.1 off. And on the inner lane from Japan, we have Nakamura. And on the outer lane from Norway, Christopher Ruke. Oh.
Another false start. Christopher Ruke's 1,000 meter also had a bit of a jump to the gun.
I think the 500 too. Really important to take the time to get used to the starter. Every starter is just a little bit different. What do you think, Alec?
That's true.
Alec just laughing at me. I love announcing with Alec. He's so great. And off to a great start.
Christopher Ruke making double his pleasure out here this weekend in Calgary. His girlfriend actually competed at the World Cup Tour de Ski Canada in cross-country skiing last weekend, taking advantage of the beautiful weather out here. She placed very well. Let's see if Christopher Ruke can live up to his girlfriend's expectations and also just rip out a great performance
Oh,
today.
a little bit of a slip.
Ugh.
That
And he will
last
actually
inner.
hit a couple of those cones down on that last corner.
And his time for Nakamura is 35.29, and for Ruke, 35.50. It's really hard for some of the international skaters to get used to the speed that we have on here in Calgary because the ice is so much faster. That last inner is very tricky for some skaters.
Great shot of the American coach right there. He's actually originally from Hawaii, always repping
Yes,
those
he
Hawaiian
is.
shorts.
Go Ryan. And on the inner lane, we have Kamani Griffin from USA. And on the outer lane, we have an up-and-coming sprinter, Jordan Henkelman from Alberta.
KG Griffin
Oh,
using the down start.
Doesn't Jordan normally do a down start? He looked a little uneasy on his start there, but he's getting off to a great start now.
Hankey off with a beautiful 9.67 opener.
Great start.
And he will absolutely crush this backstretch, going over the
Over
top of him.
top. Oh, and he has to stop.
After KG Griffin, like
Wow.
a coyote on a three-legged cat. Holy moly, is he absolutely destroying this 500 meters.
Jordan is going for it. Let's see what he got.
And he is crossing the line in a time of 35.2. And at 36.07 for KG Griffin.
Definitely a tough go for Kamani coming out of that corner. It definitely took a lot off of his time. You can see he's a little disappointed. And we have our next pair. We have Jacob Graham from BC. He crushed it on the first 500, doing a 34.92. Huge PB for him. And on the outer, Christopher Fiola coming back from China from the Junior World Championships. Great opener from Jacob Graham. We have a 9.86, and for Fiola, 10.09.
Crispo absolutely getting pumped down that backstretch, give him the go-ahead. And the work to drop the hammer on Chris Fiola. Chris Fiola trying to come back, but the hammer has already been dropped, and Jacob Graham will take this in a time of 35.30, followed by Christopher Fiola with the 35.42. Chris Fiola coming off a hot Junior Worlds, winning a few medals.
And he also competed at the Pan Am Games this year in Toronto for inline with Jordan Belchos.
Up next, we have an international pairing, Simen Kroken from Norway and
Christian
a Swiss
Oberweischer
skater on the outer.
And Simon's been out in Calgary training for a couple months now with Todd McClemon's group.
Both these international skaters wheeling and dealing this 500.
Looking really good coming through.
And they'll cross the line in a time of 35.93 for Simen and 35.7 for the Swiss skater. I think the first Swiss sprint skater that I've seen
And
in
double
quite
high
some
five
time.
for those. Both those guys, great skate.
Henrik Ruke from Norway up next. Wonder if there's any relation to Christopher Ruke.
Definitely. They look a lot alike. And on the outer lane from Japan, we have Yamanaka.
Want to give a little shout out to all the Norwegians watching right now. Watching all the great international competitions that we have going on today at this year's Olympic finale.
You can tweet at us at the Olympic Oval, #finally finale. Give us some help pronouncing your last names.
And any questions, we can help answer them on this live stream. And it'll be Yamanaka coming across the line in a time of 35.51 and it's 35.51 for Ruke. Absolutely pumped with that. Huge high five. Norwegian coach suffering a little bit from that high five. Up next on the outer, we have Braden Kluche, BC from BC. And on the inner, we have Xander Mark from the USA. Braden Kluche been plagued with false starts this year, but he is off to a really good,
Looking
solid
amazing
opener.
right now.
Huge turnover. And he will take this opener only by a little bit. Oh, with the time of 10.15. Todd giving him some good pointers down this backstretch. He's looking good. Nice setup to that corner entry. And it looks like we're going to have a close finish here. Braden Kluche coming across the line in a time of 35.95 for Kluche.
Whoa, and that's a .03 PV. He's happy with that.
It is all smiles for Kluche today. Everything's coming up, Kluche. Attaboy. Up next on the inner, we have Tichy Rosen from the Netherlands. The skater from Manitoba, Sam Deckert. This pair looks like it's going to be heat.
Oh, and a false start. We have a Dutch skater on the inner from Team Bestless. That is one of the top professional sprint teams right now in the Netherlands.
Sam must just be shaking in his boots on that outer lane right now with one of the top sprint teams from the Netherlands out here. Sam, a hard guy to scare, standing at about 6'3" on the outer. Gonna give him a bit of the stare down right now. It's all mind games when it comes to the start. And they're off. Sam with a little slip. He will recover, though.
And they open for these boys at 10:27 for Rosen and 10:34 for Sam Deckard.
Don't be fooled by Sam Deckard's long
Oh.
stride. It might not look like he's going that quick with those long legs, but trust me, it's an optical illusion for those tall guys out there. They're whipping around these corners quite quickly, and it'll be
Spoken from the master.
Rosen with a final time of 35.90, and Sam Deckard with a time of 36.32. Sam pointing out his couple missteps. Every step is absolutely crucial in a 500. When you only have 35 seconds to go, every second counts. Can't afford any missteps. Up in this pair, we have Dan the Hitman Carruthers using that down start.
And on the outer lane, we have Kyle Ronchnak from USA.
Dan's start has been compared to a turtle driving the bus, but that is one quick turtle going down that opener in a time of 10.28. He is another big skater with a lot of huge power, crushing up some huge watts down this last corner. Maybe a close race between Carruthers and Ronchnak. Dan will easily take this at the very end in a time of 36.52 for Carruthers, 36.68
And that's
for
a
Ronchnak.
0.1 PB for Dan Carruthers.
Oh, good job, Dan. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are singing. Eric Nurgad from Norway on the inner, paired against Jacob McKenzie on the outer. Now, is it just me, or did I see Jacob just the other day on short track?
Quite possibly. I think the short track mats are a little bit taken out right now. He's been, they always remove everything from the middle at the end of the season, but Jacob has definitely been taking advantage of the long track training here. He is a short track skater, part of the Olympic Calgary Oval program.
Jacob McKenzie cranking out 10.3. Pretty good for short notice to be on the long track.
Yeah, and no, he definitely did a fast 500 on Thursday.
Just a dirty last inner from Jacob McKenzie, absolutely cranking down this last stretch. Looking real smooth there, bud. And he's going across the line at a time of 35.96.
Oh, that is
Breaking
great.
that 36 barrier.
Oh, he looks pumped. That is awesome.
A little bit of a selly on both those skaters.
Yeah, both the skaters, they did great.
Great
Eric's
flow. Great
Eric's previous
strength, great
time was at
sellies.
36.28 coming into this competition, and Jacob 36.2.
Here up on the inner, we have Antoine Jadino Beaulieu with some rockin' facial hair. And we have Cooper Hunter from Alberta on the outer. And it looks like we have a problem at the start. A false start on the inner. They're going to give him a brief explanation. It doesn't really matter who false starts first. It's who false starts second. Second false start meaning that you are out no matter who false starts the first time. So they got to be careful here.
And a clean start for these two boys.
Antoine, also known as Tony,
Look
did
at
very,
that
very
facial
well
hair.
as a junior, and then suffered from mono his first year senior, and had to take a couple seasons off, making a comeback, competing in both the 500 and the 5,000 this weekend. Cooper Hunter coming out of that last corner ahead of Antoine.
And Cooper was training last year in the Netherlands with Team Best. What was the team called?
And it'll be
Ice skate.
Cooper Hunter taking it in a 35.44. Pretty pumped on that.
And Antoine just off his PB. And now we have on the inner lane Nick Gopelin from BC and Alex Garvey on the outer lane from Alberta.
Both these skaters from Team Crossover, coached by ex-Olympian Brock Myron.
And a down start for Nick Gopelin. Looking very good coming down this opener.
Garvey with an opening time of 10.28. Gopelin in an opening time of 10.4. Garvey a hound dog in that backstretch, chasing Gopelin. This is Garvey's first-year senior, coming off of great junior season last year. Been battling a couple of injuries this year. And he will cross the line in a time of 36.39. Gopelin with the 36.67. Gopelin a pretty solid all-around skater. For coming at it from a long-distance side, he's really developed his sprints over the last couple of years.
And on the inner lane from Ontario, Ben Donnelly, and on the outer lane, Jeff Ross. Ben Donnelly is just coming back from the Junior World Championships from China, where he was the reigning Junior World Champion.
Donnelly a little disappointed he's coming back with medals and not ginormous belts like his wrestling idols. But, you know, a gold medal's a gold medal.
You got to take it.
He's going to take the wins when he can. Donnelly opening with a time of 10.1 seconds.
Jeff Ross, 9.95. Let's see how they build this backstretch going into the last corner.
Donnelly coming off a gold medal performance at World Juniors in the 5K. And a 10.1 opener is very, very quick for a 5K skater. And he will cross the line at a time of 35.87 for Donnelly, 36.39 for
and
Ross.
Todd's giving a fist pump for that race. Great race, Ben. Nice handshake from his teammate, Jeff Ross. And our next pair from India on the inner lane, we have Stefan Kalari. And on the outer lane, Jess Newfield from Manitoba. A little bit of a false start here. I think that was Jeff, just a little bit of movement. Sporting an amazing Nice Sport performance racing suit, custom made from the Netherlands. So great. I love my Nice Sport suit. See if they can do a clean start now. We have 3 racers from India here racing the intact finale. Just so great to see. Great opener. Staying aggressive throughout this entire stretch. And for Jess, he takes this opener in a 10.33 and Kalari 10.43.
Jess Neufeld absolutely lighting it up in this race. But the Indian sensation will make it come down to the very last inch.
Wow, and that was a close race, but Jess does take that with a 36.33 and Kalari 36.64.
Kalari looking pretty pumped on that.
Kalari's really pumped at that. Double fist pump right there. Awesome race.
On the inner, we have Lucas Morin from Saskatchewan and Qi Jiajin from China.
That was a 0.6 PB for Kalari. Off to a great start.
Lucas Morin, younger brother of ex-oval skater Axel Morin from Saskatchewan.
And Kylie Morin as well.
Coming from a great skating family, Lucas has inherited Axel's technique down this straightaway. And his power. Both phenomenal skaters.
Lucas was one of my teammates last year with Team Crispo, with Crispin Parkinson. And let's see what these guys did today. Oh, and that's a 0.1 PB for Lucas Morin. And just off Jiajin's PB time.
Up next, we have Ryoto Kojima from Japan, and on the outer, Nicholas Hiller from British Columbia. Nicholas, originally from Prince George, British Columbia, moving out here to skate for the oval program.
And we have a false start. Inner lane for our Prince George skater.
Once again, for you guys who are not
Japan.
very familiar with the rules of speed skating, the false start is charged to the field. Whoever gets the second false start is disqualified. So even though it was the Japanese skater with the false start on this race, it'll be whoever gets the second false start that would get charged the disqualification.
And the flag drawn by the starter will announce if the false start was done by the inner lane or the outer lane. Kind of like an apple, the white means the inner, and red would signify the outer. Off to a clean start. Oh, a little bit of a slip. 10:34 for Kojima and 10:44 for Nicholas Hiller.
Hiller absolutely chasing that dirty draft down that straightaway. Getting absolutely everything he can. And that draft chasing will pay off. Shooting around that last corner. And it'll be Hiller coming across the time with the time of 36.91, beating the Japanese counterpart by 1/100th of a second. Crispo giving the high five.
All right.
I actually got him like 300s when it come down to the photo finish.
And on the inner lane from New Zealand, we have Rayon K. And from Colombia, Mario Valencia. What an international pair.
Rayon K told me earlier yesterday that he listens to Flight of the Concourse to get absolutely pumped up for this.
Oh, too pumped up.
Flight of the Concourse might have got him a little too pumped up. You're right, Laura.
I agree. That would get me too pumped up, too. So Mario Valencia from Colombia. We had one skater from Colombia, I think 4 years ago, Jennifer, who was previously coming from inline. I wouldn't be surprised if also Mario was coming from the inline background into ice.
Yeah, I don't think they have much ice in Colombia other than what they put in their drinks, Lauren.
Thanks, Alec.
They actually had the Colombian Championships in Salt Lake City last weekend for long track speed skating. This country, Colombia, known for their amazing inliners, very vicious when it comes to the inline. But sadly, inline is not an Olympic sport. So
A little bit of a slip by Kay.
Any of these inliners with a bit of an Olympic dream, their best shot at making the Olympics is through ice, so through the speed skating world. Both these skaters coming from the inline world. And it'll be Rayon K taking it in a time. Oh, no, sorry. It is Valencia taking a time of 36.81 for Valencia, and Rayon K taking it in a 36.79. Next up, Lauren's favorite Norwegian, Magne Notlin from Norway.
Magne.
On the
Magne.
inner. And Jos de Vos.
Jos de Vos
From
the
the
Netherlands. Schasten Horde. That's all I know in Dutch. This is Magna's second year training at the Olympic Oval.
Magna opening first in a time of 10.3. Jos de Vos, the winner of the 5K, opening in 10.68 seconds. You're going to be looking at a really good solid lap from both these skaters. And Magna Notland will take this pairing in a time of 36.91. Jos de Vos with the time of 37.48.
Just off his PB for Magna. And on the inner lane from USA, we have Akwitz, who we were talking about yesterday, has a huge family background in sport. His mother was an Olympian in speed skating and a world track cyclist, gold medalist, world champion. On the outer lane from Norway, we have Einar Eigenstein. And Einar competed this year for short track representing Norway. He's been training at the Calgary Olympic Oval through the short track program, and he raced some of the World Cups as well as the European Short Track Championships.
Oh,
and
just strong cyclist coming across in a time of 37.1 seconds.
And a good race for both skaters. And on the inner lane, we have Espen Nordfrom from Norway. And on the outer lane from Manitoba, Tyson Langelar, just coming back from China from World Championships, Junior World Championships.
Tyson Langlar has actually been spending a bit of time training out here at the Olympic Oval and getting his feet into some of the national team programs and just getting a real taste of what it's like to be training as a full-time athlete out here. A youngster in grade 11 is really hoping to crack the scene and has had his first taste of international competition at Junior Worlds, doing quite well. Tyson,
And Espen having a great exit here.
Tyson, a great student of the sport. I always catch him looking at other races, at lap times, and he will cross the time with the time of 37.24. And Nordfrom from Norway crossing in time of 37.05. So close to breaking that 37 barrier.
And on the inner lane from Quebec, we have Antoine Roger. And on the outer lane, Gary Treblinski.
Antoine Roger just coming also back from World Junior Championships. Canadian team having actually a stellar performance out on the World Junior scene this year with one of his best medal hauls in history, really. Gary Tremblinski opening a time of 10.3 seconds. Antoine Roger with a time of 10.5. Big shout out to everybody watching from the Sioux for Gary Tremblinski. He's got his whole hometown backing him on this race and this season.
Previously crossing over from hockey. And definitely making a lot of improvements in speed skating.
Antoine Roger still feeling the wave from World Juniors, crossing a time of 36.8. Fist pump from Gregor. Raphael Grignon, also from Quebec, will be on the outer, with Christian Abaken from Norway on the inner.
And I think that was a PB for Roger. All right, 9.98 for Christian. And for Grignon, 10.37.
Avican will take this in a time of 36.92.
Oh, love seeing that, Sally. Oh, yeah. Double fist bump and a kick. That is awesome.
That is the
What
equivalent
was
to a
his?
super combo in the Selly world. Double fist bump and a kick. Can't get much better than that.
And his previous PB was a 37.82, so he's going to be super pumped about that.
On the inner de la belle
Congratulations.
province de Québec, Jean-Christophe Pouillot. And
Kuroya
yeah, from
from Japan.
Pouillot avec une ouverture de 10.5 secondes.
Opener of 10.53 for JC Pouliot.
Pouillot dans le dernier coin a l'avantage sur le japonais.
The Japanese skater opened 10.87.
Une très belle
And a little
course de
bit of a-
Pouillot. Je serais pas surprise si c'était un meilleur temps pour lui.
And on the inner lane, from Scotland, we have Scott Anderson representing Great Britain. He switched over from short track and has been skating for about 4 years now. And on the outer lane from Alberta, we have Connor Howe. Scott Anderson says hello to his parents. All the way from Calgary. And Scott Anderson opens in a 10.59. Connor Howe, 10.80. Ennis, we're going to do a little shout out to Team Catalyst. Abby Ennis has been coaching Team Catalyst based out of Calgary Olympic Oval this year. And Anderson, 37.03. Connor Howe, 37.64. And that's a 0.2 of a PB for Scott. Congratulations. And on the inner here, from Saskatchewan, we have Keegan Chris,
Keegan
Younger.
Chris with a large smile, just laughing.
also a short track skater with the Calgary Olympic Oval program. And on the outer lane, Andrew Turner from the USA.
Keegan Chris once again smack talking long track a lot, but we'll be given a slice of humble pie in this 500 because oftentimes his sister Callie outperforms him in long track. But he will open in a time of 10.61 for Keegan, 10.68 for Turner. Classic short track stride for Keegan down this backstretch. High turnover, but he's really got to work on lengthening out those strides if he wants to make the long track a real go. He'll be quite close to his American counterpart, though. Final time for Keegan Chris at 37.68, 37.56 for Turner.
And we will now move into our out of competition races.
And that is all we have for the 500 meters today, for the men's 500 meters. Up next, we have the ladies 1,000.
At 11:45.
Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back at 11:45 a.m. for the ladies 1,000 meters.